Tech family, I am so glad to be here. I completely pulled my back out last week and couldn't do anything. I think I originally heard it from carrying heavy speakers when I was a DJ, but we'll save that story for another time. Anyway, I'm rested and good to go. So here it is, my review of the Asus G15. I copped so much crap last year for not doing a detailed review of the Asus G14 that I was not going to miss this one. Now, I know I'm late with my review for the reason mentioned, but your boy is here. Here to dispel the hype and tell you what it's like to own and use this device. In fact, that's how I review all the tech on this channel. So at the end of this video, if you like what you watched, make sure to smash that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up and the notification bell. It shows your appreciation for the insane amount of work that goes into making these. My Asus G15 is a retail model that I bought from Best Buy. It's the Ryzen 5900HS 8-core 16-thread processor with 16GB of RAM in dual channel mode. It's got a 1TB SSD, the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3070 and a 1440 resolution fast refresh rate 165Hz display. Let's hit performance first, as this laptop includes both AMD's brand new CPU as well as NVIDIA's new GPU. To help us understand how well it performs, I'm going to compare it against several other high-end laptops with a variety of CPUs from both Intel and AMD, as well as a variety of GPUs. This includes the Aero 15 from this year, the HP Omen from last year, as well as the MacBook Pro 16 and the Aero 17 from 2019. By the way, Asus has several performance modes available that you can configure in their software. These control how powerful the laptop will run and how much fan noise you'll hear. For these tests, I'm going to include results from both the default performance mode and the fastest turbo mode. Let's start off with PC Mark 10. This shows how standard everyday and office applications are likely to perform. The result is incredible. This laptop scored almost 7,000 points. That has to be close to a record for a laptop. It's an incredible score. Let's now take a look at Geekbench, which tests a variety of CPU performance tasks. Here we see a substantial improvement in single-core results from the prior generation. These results are more in line with Intel's best, the 11th Gen Tiger Lake CPU. This shows me that AMD has closed the single-core performance gap. But you'll see that Apple's MacBook Pro 13 M1 still holds the single-core crown here. In multi-core though, performance is a little lackluster compared to the AMD 4800H CPU in last year's HP Omen, but Geekbench doesn't max out the CPU. So let's now switch to Cinebench R23, which does that. Now we can see that the Ryzen 5900HS in the Asus really pulls away from all other laptops. What's impressive is that on the turbo mode, when I run Cinebench R23 on repeat for 10 minutes, the laptop actually performs better. So, no major throttling detected on this performance mode for long-running tasks. Let's drill into this a bit more. Here are the power draws. You can see that in both modes, the laptop initially sends a large amount of power to the CPU, but then drops it to a lower sustained amount to ensure the CPU doesn't get too hot. What's really important to see on this graph is that the Intel chips draw more power, in many cases substantially so. Even though, as we've already seen, Intel processors perform substantially worse than this AMD one in multi-core. Here are the matching clock speeds. This CPU boosts quite a bit higher than the prior generation Ryzen 4000 in the HP Omen. This partially explains why this laptop performs so much higher in single core. It also shows a much greater drop in clock speed from its initial burst to its sustained performance, which explains why the older Ryzen 4000 series laptops may perform similar to the 5000 series ones in long-running workloads. Here is the CPU's temperature under full load. Round of applause once again for AMD. Their processors continue to draw less power, generate less heat, and perform better than Intel. This CPU combines the best single-core performance you will get on a Windows laptop with the very best multi-core performance you'll get on any laptop. Let's take a look at what the laptop actually feels like when it's under load. It's warm, very warm, on both the keyboard deck and underside. Temperatures are at the higher end of laptops I've tested. You will definitely feel it being warm when using it, and I certainly wouldn't run anything intense like rendering a video with this laptop on your lap. Fan noise was interesting. Basically, the highest performing turbo mode was really loud. Given that it doesn't make the laptop perform that much better than the performance mode in most tasks, I'd probably just run the laptop on the much quieter but still insanely powerful performance mode. I do want to say this though. When you are using this laptop for casual tasks, it does run very quiet. Definitely quieter than my 2021 Aero 15. However, it does get a little warm to the touch. This laptop is marketed as a combination high-end gaming and video editing one, so let's take a look at its video editing chops. In the Puget benchmark, which tests Premiere Pro's video editing performance, we see very good results. But surprisingly, the Omen from last year with the much weaker 1660 Ti dedicated graphics and the MacBook Pro 16 both held their own against this laptop. It really amazes me how well MacBooks perform in these kind of tasks. I can't wait to see what Apple has in store for us when they update their highest end MacBooks with their own silicon. My Premiere Pro 4K export test didn't show the G15 in the best light. It didn't beat out the HP Omen with last year's AMD processor or the new Aero 15. Both were substantially less powerful GPUs. When it comes to gaming performance, I ran it through the 3D Mark test suite. TimeSpy scores were excellent, top of the pack, and easily beating the Aero 15 with its Intel 8-core CPU and GeForce 3060. You can see here that Turbo Mode does give you a couple of percentage points more performance than the default performance mode, but as mentioned, I personally wouldn't take the trade-off of a substantial increase in fan noise. What surprised me was the CPU results in the grey underperformed the CPU score of last year's Ryzen 4000 processor in the HP Omen. My guess is the more powerful GPU in this laptop was generating more heat and forcing the CPU to run slower, but I didn't get time to test this theory, so take it with a grain of salt. When we take a look at Firestrike, we see the CPU where it should be performing, and again, it's a phenomenal result. A Firestrike score of over 20,000 is truly epic for a laptop. Port Royal, which tests ray tracing performance, shows this laptop annihilating the Aero 15 with the 3060 and the Aero 17 with the 2070 Max-Q. Big gains in ray tracing performance here for the 3070. For real-world gaming, I have to be transparent with you. My channel focuses on areas of laptop use that I'm an expert in: programming, video editing, general office, and casual use. I do game a decent amount, absolutely, but I'm not really a gaming specialist, so here is what I personally experienced. I was able to enjoy Battlefield 5 at 1440 resolution on high settings and get a stable 60 frames per second, which is excellent. I wasn't able to get much above that though. My 2 cents, for AAA gaming, this GPU is not capable of both high-resolution 1440 gaming and high frame rate gaming. It's really about picking one. As this laptop's display is set at 1440, the choice is kind of made for you. You really aren't going to benefit much from the 165Hz refresh rate panel unless you're playing esports games where this laptop is overkill. I personally would have preferred a 1920 panel so I could really get the most out of that high refresh rate. I do want to talk a lot more about the display when I touch on things I don't like about the laptop, so hang tight on this one. Now, I don't want this review to be crazy long, so I'm just going to quickly talk about a couple of things I like about the laptop, then jump to some things I don't. The keyboard is really good. It's very comfortable to use with no major surprises in the layout. I like how the secondary function keys are set to secondary function by default. No need to swap this in the BIOS like I have to do in 90% of laptops. F2 presses F2 as expected. This is quite useful for coders who often have functions mapped to these keys. The RGB backlight is bright and easy to change the colors of. The trackpad is phenomenal. I believe it's the best trackpad I've used on a Windows laptop. It's large and very accurate. Honestly, it's as good as a MacBook's. The port selection on this laptop is very good. You have 2 USB-C ports that both support the faster 10 gigabit speeds and also charging. I love powerful laptops that have USB-C charging. That's because powerful laptops have big power bricks. But some days you don't need the full power out of the laptop. Say you are just going to class or perhaps doing some programming that doesn't require the use of the GPU. On days like these, you can just buy a small USB-C charger and bring that with you instead, making your carry weight substantially less. I also like the level of control from Asus's included software. Being able to turn off the iGPU for max performance or turn it back on for better battery is very nice. Another example is that you can have the laptop switch to a lower display refresh rate when on battery to conserve power. There is just so much you can configure on this laptop, it really is exceptional. Oh, and on battery life, this laptop is pretty decent for a gaming one. I got a solid 6 hours with the screen at max brightness doing a variety of casual tasks like browsing the web, watching Netflix, listening to music, and writing this script. My gut is, if I turn down the brightness and further tweak the laptop, 7 hours should be possible. Oh, and I did run Cinebench R23 on battery and I noticed no performance drop, which is great. The laptop is also quite lightweight for what it is, especially compared to other 15-inch high-performance ones. Other things I like include the way the hinge lifts the laptop off the desk for better airflow and Linux support. I did try 2 of the most popular Linux distros, Fedora and Ubuntu. Both worked well by default, including the Wi-Fi and sound. However, some of the function keys like brightness up and down didn't. So, we've established that in addition to the outstanding performance of this laptop, there are a lot of other things to like about it. Well, before you run out and buy one, please listen to the following, because it definitely isn't all rainbows and butterflies. Number 1, my laptop has blown speakers. Yep, I mean completely blown and utterly unusable. Take a listen. I searched the net and found several others reporting the same issue on their G14 from last year. I tried to follow some people's advice of opening the back up, reseating the speakers, blowing away the dust, etc, etc. Nothing worked. And it's definitely not just my unit which has blown speakers. There are plenty of reports on Best Buy of other buyers also receiving G15s with blown speakers. What worries me about buying an Asus laptop is that the support infrastructure is not as established as the big boys, Apple, Dell, HP and Lenovo. With those manufacturers, you can upgrade to a comprehensive multi-year manufacturer warranty, and several even offer next business day on-site repairs. And please ensure the laptop is 100% working when you open it. I made a video on how to do that, which I'll link below. The second thing I don't like about this laptop is the display. I know on paper it looks like it should tick all the boxes with over 300 nits of brightness, 165Hz refresh rate, matte non-glossy, and a high 1440 resolution. But in real life, the display is really dull, especially compared to other laptops in this price range. I get what they are trying to do here. They are trying to give you a panel that offers the benefits of both a fast refresh rate gaming one and a high resolution video editing or programming one. But the reality is it fails at both. The components, although fast, can't drive this high resolution display at a refresh rate anywhere near its 165Hz in most AAA games, and for video editing, the panel is substantially worse than the OLED panel in the Aero 15 or the MacBook Pro 16's panel. Even for office use, I found this display a challenge. On 150% window scaling, which was the setting that I could see the most amount of information on the screen without squinting, I only could see 36 rows in Excel. That is far less than the 42 rows I see on my tiny Dell XPS 13 with its 4K-like display. Yes, the window scaling is different. As mentioned, I'm talking about what scaling I can comfortably use without squinting. This is a factor of how bright the display is and many other things like how pixel dense it is. If I set this laptop to 125%, sure, that allows me to see more information in now 46 rows in Excel, but overall it feels that things were too small for me to see properly and I was squinting. When you do the math, running a 1440 resolution panel like this one at 150% scaling is equivalent to 960 pixels of vertical screen real estate. This means you're seeing less information than on a standard 1080 panel. And since this is a 16:9 aspect ratio one, you'll definitely see a lot less vertical content than on the new 16:10 panels available in laptops like the Dell XPS 15. Overall, for a laptop that ranges in price from $1,800 to $2,500, this panel is a letdown. The third thing I don't like about this laptop is the soldered RAM. One stick is upgradable and the other is soldered. In my case, 8GB soldered and 8GB upgradable. This is insanely annoying. This laptop has a very powerful CPU and GPU. You don't want to bottleneck your laptop by not having enough RAM. Yes, 16GB of RAM is plenty for gaming, but for many high-end professional tasks, which this CPU and GPU is certainly capable of, it isn't enough. And I'm already maxing out the 32GB of RAM in my HP Omen for video editing. I was hoping that my next laptop would have 64GB of RAM. Well, for the Asus G15, the only way to get 32GB of RAM running in full performance dual channel mode is to buy the model which comes with it for $2,499. And there is no way at all to get this laptop with 64GB of RAM. I know 64GB seems excessive, but I want to stress, this laptop has extremely powerful components that can run professional tasks that will need that much RAM. Many competitors in this price range have fully upgradable RAM. Fourth, there is no webcam. This is ridiculous. If Dell can put a webcam in their tiny XPS 13 bezel, then there is no reason that Asus can't put one here. Seriously, so many people are working from home now. Manufacturers have had time to adapt. There is no reason that you should have to carry around a separate webcam and to spend more money on one. Fifth, although the port selection is good, it's a shame to not see Thunderbolt 4 support and a full-sized SD card reader in a laptop that is supposedly targeting video editors. Also, I have to mention this. I found DisplayPort over USB-C unreliable. I have a monitor which enables a single USB-C cable to power the laptop while providing data for the display, mouse and keyboard. It's a very elegant, clean solution. Many times I plugged it into this laptop, the external mouse and keyboard which themselves were plugged into the monitor, they would work, but not the display. It was really weird. I didn't diagnose this too much, but other laptops worked with this monitor out of the box. Lastly, and this one is somewhat minor, this laptop looks cheap compared to other laptops in the price range like the Dell XPS, MacBook Pro 16 and Aero 15. Plus, the top cover with its many tiny holes keeps getting dust and stuff stuck in it. Look, aesthetics are in the eye of the beholder, but to my eyes, it doesn't compete with the competitors. Anyway, at the end of the day, this is a good laptop. I'd give it 7.5 out of 10, and you guys know I am tough as nails when it comes to laptops. It runs insanely fast, has a great keyboard, trackpad, and is decently priced for what you get. There is a lot to like about it, but for the reasons I've given you, it just isn't a slam dunk. If I were you, I would wait to see what the big boys have coming with their Ryzen 5000 laptops with NVIDIA 3000 series GPUs. Last year, HP and Lenovo really stole the show with their Omen and Legion 5 laptops. I would personally hold off to see what they come out with before jumping in. Plus, we all assume Apple will release a higher-end M1 chip for their more powerful MacBook Pro 16. I can't wait to try that one. Well, that's all for today, folks. If you like this video, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up and the notification bell. I would certainly appreciate it. And make sure to join our Discord server, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Links below. Till next time, go do something awesome with your day, and I will catch you later.